One, two, three. All right, guys. Good. We're live. Good evening. It's the 21st of January, 8 o'clock. We're going to do another webinar. Guys, welcome. We're going to have a great webinar tonight. It's going to be all about communication and improving your communication skills. Cool. So my name is Erik. I'm actually Dutch. That means I'm from the Netherlands. I've been in Ireland almost 3 years now. I've been out of my country for about 20 years, lived in the Caribbean for a long time, also in Latin America, a while in Scandinavia, Belgium, some other European countries, right now in Ireland. One of my passions is to just pass on stuff to others that I find personally that has really helped me, and stuff that works. My background is an engineer. I used to work for Caterpillar, the big tractors, the big machines, the excavators, these kind of things. I used to work in that business for a long time. Absolutely loved it. And so, of course, in any part of life, any segment of life, whether it is with family ties, whether it's with business, communication skills, that is the one thing that you need in order to be successful in life. So for that reason, we chose the subject, actually wanted to share some key data on that with you tonight. So we have a lot of registrations, and I see that people have the camera on. That is fantastic. I see Lila on camera. Hello, Lila. Good to see you. And I see Lilia, and I see Sue. All right, guys. It's great to see you on camera. That doesn't happen much. So keep it on. I'm really delighted to see that. Then we have, let's see, I'm going to go over a couple of names. Now, in the meantime, maybe you want to share something about yourself in the chat. The chat is wide open, and it's nice, like in a group kind of setting. Maybe you want to introduce yourself quickly. Where are you from? Just put the name there, or maybe UK or continent, whatever. And then mention also, if you're a fast typer, what prompted you to come to this particular webinar? So where you're from, why are you attending tonight? Would be really nice to see that in the chat. So let's see, who do we have? We have Darren, Valeria, Alessio, Brooke, Cheryl, Gabriela, Jer, John, Larissa, Lila. I just lost track because some people came in. Let me go again. Lilia, Maria, Myrnas, Patricia, Ruth, Sandra, Sue, Valeria. Guys, that's a great number of people. Now, we're also, next to Zoom, we're also on YouTube tonight. We're also on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. So the first thing that I want to have I basically take a look at is, what is communication anyway? Let's just start with a definition. And that definition is going to pop up on your screen so we can actually see where did this word communication, where did it come from, and what is the full meaning of it? What is the full sense of it? So I got Dita working in the background, and she's helping us out. In case you have any question, just pop something in the chat. Maybe you have a private question for us. Dita's there to help you out. In the meantime, let's see, what do we have here? So we got somebody from Lila, from Devon, UK, from Luton, from New York. Oh, wow, okay, to learn some tips and tricks. That's great. Maria from the UK again. Larissa from the UK again. Nice, guys. That is amazing. All right, I hope we actually found the pop-up. If you guys can put it in the on the screen, that'll just be great. And there we go. So to kick off right away with a definition, a derivation, the etymology. So it comes from Latin, communicatunam. Now here's an interesting thing. These guys actually had an idea, a concept of what it is that you want to achieve with communication. And it says to share, to divide out, to impart, or literally to make common. That's an interesting concept. You have an idea, something nice just happened in your life. You want to make that known. In other words, you come home, you've shared with your partner, you want to make it common. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So in the 1300s, more or less around that time, the word common started to mean belonging to all. In other words, when we communicate whatever we have in our minds, we want it also to belong to somebody else. So bear that in mind, because we're going to have a little bit of a deeper look into that concept. Now, actually, before we start off, I have a few questions. I have a few questions for you. We're going to make this very, very interactive, just very playful, have a lot of fun together. I'm just going to let you in on something. We're also going to have a look at the mind. What is the mind? How does it work? You're going to have a little insight in that tonight, because it affects your thinking and it affects your communication skills. So it's going to be a nice topic, a little sideway, and then we come back to communication. Now, some questions here. And maybe Dita guys, I have Pavel here as well, two of our guys here helping out. And here's actually what I would like you to have a look at. Now, so there's 3 questions here. And I would like your participation to see if you're ever running into these things. So for example, number 1, have you ever felt difficulties to start a conversation? Let's say maybe you want to walk over to your boss, or maybe you want to ask him a question, like, can I have a day off? But you found it difficult to start that conversation. Or have you ever felt difficulty to keep a conversation going? Maybe you have a friend and you ask that friend a question, you get an answer, and the conversation dies. And you're like, oh gosh, I need to be so inventive. I need to now come up with another question to get an answer, and the conversation dies again. So maybe you're running into these kind of people that, gosh, you don't know what to do in order to keep the conversation going. Or maybe, as in number 3, you might actually know people who talk so much that you can never stop them. That's a funny thing when that happens to you, because you probably have noticed this, that you can waste a lot of time on these people. They just suck your time up, suck your energy up. And by the time you look at your watch, you go, oh gosh, man, that person just took 2 hours of my time. So let me know, do you actually run into these things? You could be all of them. Feel free to answer all. Or if it's just a particular one, 1, 2, 3, pop something in the chat. Yeah, 1 is my item, or 2 is my item, or 3 is my item. Okay, so we got D, is a yes to all. Sandra, yes to 2. Okay. Maria, all 3. Cheryl, 1. Okay. Naiwoga, you be like, where should I start from? Okay, thank you. Alessia, all 3. Gabriela, yes. Yes, all 3 to Ruth. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. All right, so what we're going to do tonight is we're going to paint a picture here. Why is this happening? What is causing that to happen in the first place? When you're, let's say, when you have a little bit of a technical background, a technical training, you tend to think in cause and effect. Something causes or make things happen, and that ends up in some kind of result. Yeah. So, for example, when you feel insecure, there's something that makes that happen. When you have a lack of self-doubt, when you have a lack of self-confidence, there's something that makes that happen. When you feel that you're shy, well, there's something that makes that happen. And we're going to actually have a look at it. Now, so I'm going to do a little sketch here. So guys, thank all of you for your answers. That's been great. We're going to go fast. I'm going to do a little sketch here. Now, let's say this is you. And you just saw a new apartment. And so you're quite enthusiastic about that new apartment, and you want to share it with a friend. So there's your friend. You're trying to communicate to your friend that you just visited this very, very nice apartment. So there's your communication. Now, ideally, ideally what would happen is that your friend gets the same concept, gets the same idea. All right, now here's a question. What would happen if your friend does not make 100% copy, 100% duplicate of what you just tried to tell your friend? Let's say he only got it for 70%. He didn't get your full communication. He only got it for 70%. Like, in other words, like, he got most of what you said, but not all of it. So, what is going to happen to you when you find out he didn't fully get you? What is going to happen? So what do you think is going to happen to your feelings, to your emotions? Pop something in the chat. Maybe you've seen that before. You tried to get something across to your partner or to a colleague, and you find out that person only got half of what you just said, or just got 70% of what you just said. What is going to happen? All right. John says, sound like Chinese whispers. Thank you, John. Cheryl says, miscommunication. Ruth says, disappointed. All right. Lila says, mutual confusion. Okay. Patricia said, I would feel silly. Exactly. All right. So there's a key word here. Very, very, very key. And that word is actually understanding. So what is the thing that we are actually trying to achieve as human beings? I'm trying to get something across. You're responding in the chat, trying to get something across. What we're trying to do with each other is we're trying to get understanding. We're actually trying to understand each other. And if you look at communication itself, the only frustration from it is when you get this feeling like, damn, I don't feel understood. Something is going by the boards here. I simply don't feel understood. And it causes irritation, it causes bad emotions, it causes all that. So that tells you right away what we aim for. What we aim for is that your friend here makes 100% copy. Right? What we're trying to do is to get 100% copy there. In other words, a full duplication. It's like bringing your copy to a copy machine, make a copy, and you get the exact same. That is what you're trying to achieve. And soccer players, for example, they just pass on the ball from one person to another. And if that ball is way out in the field, they're going to be frustrated with one another. They're going to make complaints. They're going to be annoyed with one another because somehow that communication didn't come across very well. And it goes the same with ideas. All right, now, there's an interesting thing that if you ever had some kind of a communication training, perhaps in school, perhaps at work, you were taught a little bit of psychology. And maybe what you have heard before is that when two people don't really understand each other, that there is noise. So I'm going to put that here in the picture. And we're going to call it noise, right? I hope you can still see this picture. We're going to call it noise. Now, this is an interesting phenomenon because that is not really true. It is not true at all. I'm sure, and you are sure, that you've been sitting in bars and sitting in discos where the music was very loud and there was a lot of noise. But yet, you were able to reach a full understanding between each other. So it wasn't really noise. That was not a correct observation. There's something else going on here. So I'm going to wipe the board clean. Just bear with me for a minute. Give me a second here. Let me get my cloth, and then we continue. Okay, so let's go back to you, who wants to share something with your friend. So that's you, and you have an idea. And you want to get that idea across to your friend. Now, I could also fill in your ex, or your boss, or your team leader, or a nice person, a nasty person, whatever it is, right? Just fill in the blanks over here. Now, whenever you want to get a communication across to another person, we're going to say that you are cause. So what does that mean, cause? Well, cause basically means you're going to make something happen. Cause is simply you make something happen. You are causing it. You see? You're making things happen. Now, when you're causing it, you're basically the source point. You're the source point. That is the point from where things emanate from, where you bring something forth. Yeah. So you could say that is the point of emanation. All right. So now let's make this very, very practical with an example. All right. And here's a question. Here's a question. Have you ever felt uncomfortable or nervous, a bit shaky when you had to talk to a certain person? Have you ever felt uncomfortable, experienced discomfort, like, I don't know, let's say an anxiety stomach, nervousness, feeling shaky when you had to talk to a certain individual, like your ex, like a boss, like a family member, like maybe a senior? Have you ever felt uncomfortable talking to an individual? All right, so we're going to get some yeses here, I think. Okay, good. So we have a lot of yeses here. Thank you, guys. Now, what does that mean? That is something very, very key that's happening here. What it means is that at that moment, you were not cause. So when you feel uncomfortable, something is having an effect on you that you can't seem to shake. Something seems to control you that you don't seem to control back. There's something there that causes you these butterfly feelings, this nervousness, this anxiety stomach, and it just is just taking you by force, and you cannot control it back. So you feel that you cannot be cause. You cannot be that point that brings things forth. instead of you bringing things forth, something is actually doing something to you. Do you get that concept? Just quickly, to see if we're tracking with one another, if we understand each other. Okay? All right? So let's have a look at that. Let's have a look what is happening there. Now it's going to get really interesting. Gonna get really interesting. We're gonna have a little a close look, not too deep, but we're just gonna touch upon that what is actually happening in the mind. So let's do a quick exercise. What I want you to do is I want you to remember primary school. Just have a look at primary school. Now maybe you're going to get some pictures just flashing by. All right? Just pictures flashing by. So I will say, for example, think about the courtyard, the playground, if you will. Or maybe the building itself, the color of the building. Where was the street? Where were the windows? What was the size, the dimensions of the building? Maybe imagine that you're sitting in your chair in one of these classrooms, and then have a look. Where's the blackboard? And then where would the teacher sit? And where was the entrance in the classroom? Now, I'm asking you, did you actually get some pictures? Did you see some memories, some pictures passing by? Just a quick question to see if we're tracking. Je hebt maar nichts zu tun. Okay, Bernd, danke schön. Ich habe keine Ahnung, was das heißt, aber ja. Cheryl, yes. Sandra, yes. John, yes. All right, good. So, your mind makes pictures. If I would say, have you ever had a pet, like a dog or a cat, or a hamster, a bird? A picture will come to you. Now let's do this funny thing. Let's say you're coming home. You got your keys here, right? You got your keys. You're coming home. You put your keys in the dresser, right? Now you're gonna go into the living room. You're gonna read the newspaper. You're gonna go take a shower, and 2 hours later, you're gonna look at your watch. Gosh, I actually need to do some shopping because you need to get your groceries. All right, good. So. Was ist denn los? Was machen wir? Schluss, ich glaube, okay, jetzt lenkt für heute. Okay, Bernd, Dankeschön. So, Bernd, you just threw me out, but anyway, I'm gonna pick it up. So anyway, we're coming home. Put your keys on the dresser, right? Very good. Now, 2 hours later, you realize you have to go. You put your hands in your pockets. You say, "Damn, where's my keys?" And you can't seem to find your keys. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna roam around the entire house and go to all the quarters to find your keys? Look at every single table, look at every single dresser, look at every single whatever to see if you can actually find the keys. You're not gonna do that. What are you going to do? This is how it works. So let's say that is your mind. Your mind makes pictures, right? You came home and you dropped your key somewhere and you made a picture of it. So now your mind is going to tell you where to find your keys. You just look back and say, hang on. I actually put my keys on the dresser. That's how you use your mind. So your pictures will now tell you how to find your keys. All right, good. So we have this. Now, bear with me. I'm going to sketch you a situation. So I hope you can see that. That is a little amateur sketch. Is you being small, being attacked by some kind of a dog. All right? Somewhere there, somewhere there in your memories a long time ago. Now, there happened to be a lot of pain in it. There's a lot of pain. Long time ago. Okay, good. So, what's happening? We're gonna go down the street, and then all of a sudden, at some point, you actually see a dog that looks very much like the dog of your past experience. All right, so tell me, how are you going to respond? How are you going to react to seeing that? What is your mind going to tell you? Use your chat, guys. Put something in a chat. You're looking at that dog, which is a dog, not the same, but very similar to the one that you had a very, very bad experience with. What is going to happen to you? Okay, Cheryl said, okay, be afraid, danger, heightened fear. Ruth, run, run. All right. Sandra, run away. Okay, that is spot on, guys. Recollect the memory and respond instinctively, says Maria. Thank you so much. Good. So, you see, there is something there. It seems like the environment seems to be controlling you. That thing here seems to be controlling you. Or is it that that memory is controlling you? Well, either way, you are not cause at that moment. You're not making things happening. Actually, the environment and your mind are making things happening. Does that make sense? So you're not pursuing your walk. Now you see that dog, all of a sudden you're gonna do something else. You're no longer cause, you're no longer determined in following that route and doing what you intended to do. Now, all of a sudden, you're no longer cause, you're gonna do something else. Does that make sense, guys? Just let me know. Does that make sense? Is that a yes or a no? Does that make sense? Yeah, all right. Okay, John, good. These has make perfect sense. Patricia, a bit. Okay, still good enough? Leela, don't understand what it has to do with communication. Exactly, Leela. But we're going to use this concept in communication. Thank you very much for letting me know, Leela, because that is spot on. It's got nothing to do with communication. But it's going to come up. It's going to come up in a second. Because, let's say, we didn't have anything to do with a dog, and you would say, well, Erik, that is all nice. You know what? I don't have any issues with dogs. I don't have any issues with dogs whatsoever. Well, very good. Okay, so let's replace the dog for another individual. Now, you're facing another individual that is giving you a sensation that you cannot talk to the person. That is giving you a sensation that you don't feel comfortable in that person's space. That is giving you a feeling that you're lacking confidence, that you cannot talk. In other words, I'm just trying to get across, there's a feeling that overwhelms you, which is caused by something, which is your mind. And we're gonna look at a remedy for that. All right, I hope it makes a bit more sense now. So tomorrow night, we're gonna be doing a webinar, which is called The Mind Explained. It's gonna go deeper into the whole concept. Tonight, I just wanted to give you a snippet of it. So we're gonna go back with this concept. We're gonna take that to communication now. All right, here we go. So we started that whole dog story with the question, have you ever felt any discomfort when you were close to another person? So we're actually going to cover what it requires. What is the very, very first requirement that needs to be in order to have any communication whatsoever? And that first requirement, let's say you are there with somebody else, what that means, you will be in the same space. So the very, very first requirement that needs to be in is you got to be there comfortably. Well, yeah, now you're going to say, well, that's easier said than done, Eric. That's easier said than done. How am I going to do that? Because, you know, my boss is just under my skin all the time. That guy gets me so upset. He gets me so nervous. He gets me anxious. He gets me afraid. Fill in the blanks. He gets me into a certain state. All right. Now, on the other end, if we turn it around, if you could be there comfortably, you could actually be cause. You could actually be a point of emanation. You could actually be an individual that can actually bring something forth. So we want to get to that condition where we are not on the receiving side and feeling bad, but we want to be on the opposite side where we're feeling certain and we can comfortably be in anybody's space, and we can do that with all the comfort. That's what we're going to be, that's what we're looking for. So immediately I have a question to make that more clear. So have you ever felt that you couldn't be in the same space with the other person? Have you ever experienced that? That you couldn't be in the same space? Like, because that person made you feel nervous. And that could be, for example, a job application. Or it could be your manager. Or it could be even a customer. Or it could be, let's say, a relative or a family member. Yeah. Have you ever felt that you couldn't be in the same space because you felt some discomfort? You felt unsure, not certain. Pop something in the chat, guys, to see if we're tracking. Yes, good, fantastic. Leela says yes. Cheryl, yes. All right. So we want to do something that gives you some enhancement. Now, by the end of this evening, I'm going to show you a little booklet which is called Communication, and actually contains drills, exercises you can do to raise that competence of being able to communicate. So it will raise your confidence, it will raise your assertiveness, it will raise, it will make you more able, it will make you more competent. It's got certain drills that you're actually going to see here in the booklet, even with pictures, that you can do at home. You can do that with a friend, you can do that at work, and it actually shows you how to enhance that communication skill. So that is number one. If you ever had that feeling that you couldn't comfortably be there, then there's then there's a couple of other things that will follow suit that you cannot do either. Number one, be there comfortably. So what do you do when a person is mad at you? Well, the whole trick is to be there and just look. We're going to go there next. That is the second requirement. Yeah, to simply be able to look at an individual. Now, maybe you've actually ever seen that staring contest, like for example in MMA fighters or boxers, they're facing their opponent, right? And they're looking each other in the eyes. And they may do that for a full minute, or they may do that for a certain amount of time. And they don't twitch, they don't get nervous, they don't shake. They're standing there, they have a lot of confidence looking the opponent in the eye. Maybe you've seen it in primary school, in secondary school, maybe you've done it yourself, maybe you've seen somebody else doing it. And you can actually see that after a few seconds, people would start to giggle. They start to go like, you see that kind of response in people. That is the first thing that comes up, which is the discomfort. That discomfort just kicks in the moment that you actually try to be there and look at an individual. But you really want to be able to just be there even though the person is upset with you. Or even if the person is not willing to talk to you. And you certainly want to be there just to be able to just look and observe. Now, to make that a bit more clear, you probably know somebody in your family, in your circles. You probably know somebody who talks to you, but who doesn't really look at you. The person is talking to you, and he's talking to you, he's talking to you, and he says something, says some more. And so let me ask you a question. How do you feel if somebody talks to you like that? How do you feel if somebody talks to you like that? You've probably seen it. So I'm going to give you a minute here in the chat. Yeah. How do you feel if somebody talks to you like that? It's like never making any eye contact. Just like looking there and he's looking the other way, and he glances at you quickly to see if you're still there, and he continues, and he looks at you again, and then he's lost again. All right. Yeah, so we got a lot of responses here. D, dismissed, confused, don't care, very bad, I'm not bothered, I'm autistic, okay, not being listened to. All right, so we got a lot of things that start to happen. Okay, what does it tell you right away? What does it tell you right away? Number one, that person, let's say it was him, and he was looking in all kinds of different directions. That person was not there in the same space with you in a comfortable manner. He was not comfortably there. Now, where was he? Probably somewhere else in his mind. He was probably somewhere else in his mind. He wasn't here in the present. He was not there. So you could see right away, this person seems to be afraid. This person is acting strangely to me, as if he's afraid of me. So number one is that he wasn't there. Number two, he could not even look. That was the second requirement. The second requirement is to be able to look, but he couldn't do that. Now, why is that so important? Why is that so important? I'm going to give you an idea. Let's say you want to put this to the test. Now you go to the city center. You're going to put yourself in the city square, somewhere in the middle of the square, right? And you're just going to look up. And there's a lot of people passing by. Right? And they look at you while you are actually looking up. So what are these people going to do when they're passing by and they see that you are actually looking up? Put something in the chat. What do you think people are going to do? What a lot of people will do when they're passing by, what are they going to do? All right, John says, look at what you're looking at. Sandra, think you're crazy. All right. Yeah. Well, here's the kicker. So let's say well, let's do the other thing. Let's say this guy here, he is constantly looking at his watch. He's constantly looking at his watch. What will happen is that you are actually going to follow suit. If I'm going to look at my watch, I'm going to take your attention and you're going to be looking at my watch, most likely. So what's going to happen is that you're going to look at the watch as well. It breaks down the communication. Like attention, his attention is being followed by his attention. Attention follows attention. But you're no longer really in communication, because here we get the famous noise. Here we get the distraction. All right? So what we basically need to have, and we're going to give it a different word right now. Number one, be there. Then the next requirement, it says, well, you should be able to look. Well, basically, what we want to be interested. We want to have a certain interest in the individual. So, if you and I would be talking, then I would try to be very interested in you, and hopefully you would try to be interested in me. So we can actually see, do we actually copy back and forth those concepts that we're trying to communicate. All right? Now, obviously, you want to get something across. You want to get something across, and there's another requirement that needs to be in. So looking is interest. And you see that right away. When people are not interested in you, you will see that right away. It feels unpleasant. You're trying to get something, you're trying to get the attention of your partner, but the person is not interested. When he's not interested, then you also know he's not there. So we're going to go to number 3. And number 3 is a word. It says intention. Now, intention is actually what you want to get as a result. So you could say, I intend to do something. I intend to make something happen. I intend to get that result. So an intention is something that you want as a result. And you've probably seen people who had very, very bad control. I'll give you an idea. Let's say a mother has a toddler, and the toddler is playing with a 10,000 euro Ming vase from a Chinese dynasty. And the mother's communication is so poor, and she said, "Oh, little Johnny, no, oh, please don't go there. No, oh, it's a vase." Her intention, whatever she wants, did not come across. What happened? Of course, that 10,000 vase just went by the boards. Now, if she would be able to occupy that same space, just be there and be there for him alone, for little Johnny alone, not be distracted by anything else, but just be there with him alone. And she would focus her interest at him. She could now actually direct her attention. And she would say something like, Johnny? 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 No, 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 no. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. All right, Johnny, come over to Mama. Yes, you can do it. Come. That would be a direct intention. Likewise, let's say there's a robbery going on in the shop, and you got this police officer who actually can't comfortably be in the same space. He cannot really confront the individual. He said, Mr. Robber, please, no, no, don't rob the store. You would think that that would be a very, very silly policeman, wouldn't it? Right? But if the guy comes in and he says, stop! Put down your weapon! It doesn't have to be loud, but the intention, just to get the intention across. You see, that is the whole idea. The whole idea is that this police officer, he knows what it is that he wants to get out of his communication. So, let's say you're going to a bar and you see this beautiful girl, or you see that handsome guy, right? And you say, well, you know, I'm actually very interested in that person. Okay, so now how do I do that? How can I comfortably approach that individual? Well, first of all, you got to raise the ability to be there comfortably. And have the ability to look and to be interested. And you would actually have to have the intention to really get to know the individual. So, now, I'll just give this, let me clarify this with another example. Have you ever seen somebody coming over to you and being very, very hesitant in their communications? That you could sense like, hey, it's a bit doubtful. He doesn't really come across as certain. Have you ever felt that somebody came over and said, oh gosh, this person has such an insecurity about himself. He's so hesitant in what he wants to ask or what he wants to say. Have you ever seen that? That's a question for the chat, guys. All right, so D, you have seen that. That's great. Thank you. Patricia, yes, I do. Sue, yes. All right, good. So when you see that this person is uncertain, that he's doubtful, that he's hesitant, that he doesn't know, like, should I communicate or shouldn't I communicate? It once again tells you right away, he's not there comfortably. He's not really able to look you in the eyes. He's going to look somewhere else. His attention is going to be scattered all over the place. And he can't really get across what he wants to say. Yeah, the intention is not there. So when these things are absent, that's when you get that noise. All right, so what then do we try to handle when we say communication? What do we try to handle when we say communication? Well, it's the action. It's an action. So it's a doing. It's something that you do. Which is to say, to get an idea across space to somebody else, so that the other person gets the same idea. In other words, 100% duplicate. Or 100% copy, just like you intended. All right, let's get it again. You have a certain idea, you have a certain thought. There's your idea or thought. You want to get it across to the other person so that the other person gets 100% copy of what you're trying to bring forth, just like you intended. That would be communication. Okay, so I would like to do a little poll at this stage because I hope I have not been over flooding you with data. I know it might be a little bit much. We did like a tremendous amount of speed, but I'd like to do a little poll with you guys. Maybe Dita can actually pop it up and put it on the screen. All right, so I just would like to see what you guys think, right? So here's the poll. To see what is the thing that you most want to handle or improve better for yourself. What is the thing that you want to better, to improve for yourself? It's 2025. The world is a madhouse. I'm sure there's something that you want to improve. Well, is it number one? You want to be less nervous when talking to people? Or is it number two? You want to be a better listener? Number three, you want to be more engaging, more outgoing? Or is it number four that you want something else? What is it that you most want to improve on? Okay, so let's see what we got here. I love your responses, guys. There's a nice interaction tonight. What do you got? What do you think? We got something nice going on, don't we? So, John, number one, want to be less nervous. Okay, all right, John. So I can tell you that can actually, it can be improved. It can totally be improved. Darren says number three, want to be more engaging and outgoing. All right, that can be improved. D, number one again, Lila or Leela. Number three, Sandra says, okay, I want to be more confident. Very good. Larissa says number three and number four, I want to socialize more, build up networking. Patricia, I want to engage with a person to gain knowledge. Lovely. Spilla, I would like to be more precise with words, what I want to communicate. Cheryl, number one and number three, want to be less nervous and want to be more engaging and outgoing. All right. Maria, Aziz, number three, unsure. People will be interested in things I might want to say. All right. Gabriella, thank you very much, Gabriella. Number three, Patricia. Number two, all right, keep the conversation going. That would be a number four. All right, spell it. More clearly expressed intention and impactful in reaching out. All right, okay. So that is all great. So tonight, you basically got a little glimpse of what is your mind? How does it work? Now, there is something there that, let me just do a final sketch for you since we still have 5 minutes. All right, so here's the thing that we're all dealing with in life, right? That's you, and you happen to have certain experiences in your mind that have consequences. Thoughts like, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I'm not cut out for this. I will just not be able to do it. And so on. There's something there in your mind that controls you. And when it controls you, you will have this feeling that you're not yourself. When you're yourself again, you feel like, why did I do that? I wasn't myself. There's something there that basically goes against what it is that you want to be. All right? Now, that can be handled. It can absolutely be handled. So what do we want to do? We want to enhance. We want to go up the scale and being able to handle life better. Now, there's a very interesting datum that you can use in life. If you can communicate, then you can handle. What that means is that whenever you can handle a situation, when you can handle an individual, you can actually get results in life. In other words, if we want to get results, if we want improvement, then we must improve our abilities to communicate. If you shy away from situations, you cannot handle that situation. You will not get the result. Very simple. So, all right, now, you just put some answers there, right? Like, you want to be less nervous. You want to be more engaging. You want to be a better listener. Maybe you have a whole other wish list that you want. Now just imagine, realize how long has that been with you? Has that been with you for all your life? Has that been with you for the last 10 years? Has that caused you some frustration that you couldn't really be you? Well, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything at all to just make that last. Because it will just by itself, it will just continue. I'm going to be a bit, unpleasant here. It's actually going to get worse. So if you're not going to do anything about it, over time, it will get worse. Unless you do something about it. Okay, so maybe you want to hear a solution, because there is a solution. Number one is that you need to have some knowledge, and you need to build some skill. So if you would be a mechanic and you could fix your own car, you would actually not really have problems with cars or your car in your life. The problem comes when you don't know anything about it and you get frustrated. And the same thing applies to life. So you need to get some knowledge. All right, so number one, there's a little communication booklet here that will, like I said, it will actually guide you through communication drills that you can do with a friend, that you can do with a family member. And they're lovely to do. It's basically you and somebody else sitting in a chair and doing these drills. And you will notice that your ability will rise, your confidence will increase. And you will probably see that the next day or at some point, like, hey, you know what? I used to shy away from that person, but now I can actually be there and comfortably look at that person, because it teaches you exactly how to do that. Now, there's another thing that you actually need, which is more data, about life itself. And to that extent, I want to introduce an international bestseller. It's called Scientology, A New Slant on Life, which is actually tools for further enhancement of communication, improving relationships, knowing who you can trust, because you want to communicate, you also want to communicate to the right people. You have more data here on the narcissist, the antisocial personality, how you can actually recognize this person. And there's also tools for your work, how to be more organized, how to get more things done, how to be more efficient. And Dita, I think she's going to pop up something in the chat so you could basically have an idea what you can discover in that book. If you have that at hand, so Sue is already okay. Where can I actually get that? We're gonna answer your question, Sue, just in a few moments. Okay, so what can you discover in this book? What can you discover? This is the author is in the Guinness Book of Records 4 times. He's the most widely read author of all times. It's a bestseller on self-help. There's nothing really else that comes close. So number 1, would you like to know why a person becomes unhappy? How can you remedy that? That's on page 10. What are a few of your capabilities and potentials that you have that are actually in a state of forgetfulness? That's on page 27. How do you restore your full potential? You may want to know that. That's on page 75. Now, number 4, how do you raise understanding between you and another person? On page 91. How can you increase your certainty? On 118. And what are the characteristics of an antisocial person? Page 193. Okay, so we're going to make you an offer tonight. These 2 booklets, or book and booklet, which is actually a life improvement package or a communication improvement package. And I think I should zip my mouth for a moment because Dita is going to put that link in the chat so you can actually see for yourself what you can do in order to make improvements in your life this year, actually right away. Okay, good. So Maria, I see something there that you seen something. All right, please label your lectures as Scientology sales pitches. Well, Maria, to be honest with you, it's not really a sales pitch. I hope you got something out of it that was actually valuable. Sure, this is a subject that is actually taking the planet by storm. As a lot of people are discovering this technology, it is a technology that can increase your IQ, can increase your confidence, can make you more competent. So definitely it is something that we would share. Okay, so all right, I get your comments, guys. Well, I'm not always promoting this, okay? But all right, if you want to have more data, you can go to Scientology.tv. Apparently, we have a few people here who are biased. Okay, that's fine. You know, this, like I said in the beginning, this is planet Earth. It happens to be quite a strange place. There's a lot of false information there. There's a lot of made-up news. And bottom line is, I don't really want to go into the subject, but if you look at things, like people do have enemies. You may have seen that yourself. You may have enemies yourself. Of course, when you're trying to make improvements, when you're trying to promote something, you may also run into opinions that other people have on the subject. What is the best remedy? The best remedy, very simple. Find out for yourself. Find out for yourself, does it work? Can you agree with the subject matter. Yeah, in the end, you can listen to other people, but I'm sure most of us are simply able to just look for ourselves, judge for ourselves, try things for ourselves, and come to the conclusion, does it work or doesn't it? All right, guys, so that is, I think that's all for tonight. I've been giving you a lot of data. Thank you very much for being here. In any case, is there any final questions? Good. So a lot of thank yous. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. It's great to have you. Tomorrow night, we're going to do a webinar. You can find us on Meetup as well. And Eventbrite again. Tomorrow night is going to be a webinar on the mind explained. That's the title of the webinar. The mind explained. We're going to go deeper into what is the mind, how does it limit your potential, and how does it cause you stress, and so on. What can you do to remedy that? All right, Spela, thank you very much for explaining some strange situations we face every day in communication. Sometimes you just feel they're odd. You have no stable knowledge to properly understand what's going on. Okay, Leila, no, you don't have to pay. Very simple. Forget all about the whatever you've read. This is a planet where you have an opinion on whatever. There's always other opinions. There's only one way. Find out for yourself. All right. Thank you very much, guys. It's lovely to have you. Been great to do this webinar for you tonight. You've been a great audience. I love the interaction. So it's all great. I hope to see you again, maybe next week, or otherwise tomorrow, or maybe later. Good. Thank you once again. Have a great rest of your evening.